right, looks like the stream's up and running. All's good. Welcome, everyone. And let's see here. I saw Victoria pop in, Anna, Andrea, and a bunch of other people are coming in. Welcome to the Adobe Creative Cloud stream on Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about just a quick tutorial on how you would create an infographic in Adobe Illustrator. And glad you're excited for it, Tafa Milia, if I'm saying that correctly, hopefully. And so glad to see so many of you coming in for this stream. So as you know, I primarily concentrate on the photography products, and I do design as well. So this falls into the other half of what I do, and that's the design part. So, and I also don't get a chance to spend a lot of time in Illustrator. So we're going to do some Illustrator today. Cringeworthy, I know. All right, Istanbul, Norway, Uganda, Maryland, Phoenix, everybody's in the house. Welcome, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started right now because there's just going to be more people coming in. I have to stop and say more hellos, but just a blanket hello to everyone. If I missed your name, sorry about that. And we're going to go ahead, Jasper, yes, and get started. Frederica as well, and Igor, and everyone that's coming in. Welcome, everybody from around the world. Let's go ahead and jump in and get started. All right, so I'm going to switch over to my computer where I've got, you guessed it, Adobe Illustrator running. I don't have a document open. I like to start things from scratch just because this is a tutorial. So this is kind of how you would start from scratch. And I'm going to go ahead and just simply click New to create a new document. Of course, if you haven't looked at Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop in a while, you now get the new document window, which also gives you the ability to work from templates. But we're not going to work from templates. We're going to go ahead and create a brand new document from scratch. Empty page. So I need to tell it what I want my empty page, how I want it to be formatted, and that of course is up to you for what you're going to be doing. So if you're going to be doing a letter size document, there are letter size documents here. You can also use anything that you can key in. So I'm just going to go ahead and call this generic infographic, and we are going to work in inches, and I'm just going to make it square. I don't really have a set size in mind. I'm just going to do 10 inches by 10 inches. I am going to make it a square document in RGB color space. We're going to make it one artboard, and that's all we need for now. So we'll go ahead and create it. Again, you can make it whatever size fits your needs. I just chose square at random. Now, we got our blank page. At this point, there are a couple things I want to make sure that you, well, we'll do it as we go along. I was going to say a couple panels I want you to make sure you have open, but we'll just go ahead and create those or open those on the fly if you don't already have them. So we're going to start with the rectangle tool. And the rectangle tool, of course, draws squares and rectangles. So I'm going to go ahead and draw out a rectangle from the edge here. And I'm going to make it, I don't know, about that thick, about that long. Maybe a little longer, maybe about there. All right, so of course that did a default fill of white and a default stroke of black. I'm going to take the stroke off. I don't want any strokes on any of these graphics. Now the next question is, of course, we need a color to fill it with. And as I've said repeatedly on these streams, I am usually pretty bad at picking colors and sometimes picking fonts. I know what I like when I see it, but I just bad going from the blank page of picking a color. So I'm going to give you some help. I'm going to give you two ways to get some nice colors for your infographics that will look good together. Because infographics, for those of you who don't know what an infographic is, it's usually usually one page that is conveying the steps of a process or an idea or a thought process or a thought. So usually it's like steps, like 6 steps. Ours is going to be 5 steps. And of course, it's going to be generic, so it doesn't really matter what the actual text will say. We're just going to leave it generic text. So for those 5 steps, I want those 5 steps to have different colors so they stand out, but also colors that look good together. And again, that's my challenge. So one of the panels you can bring up that will help you in your making colors that look good together, the color panel lets you pick any color you want, obviously. But the color guide usually lets you pick colors that look good together. They're already set up as swatches and harmonies that look good. So for example, if you use the flyout menu, you can go ahead and scroll up and you can actually get complementary colors. You can get a color panel that actually looks good of the colors that are in it. So if you see one here that matches kind of the idea or just some subdued colors that kind of look good together, you're all set. Pick those 5 or 6 colors from there and away you go. Now that's one way to do it, and that is the way that I would do it normally. But I'm going to show you one more way just in case. And that is at the bottom of your swatches panel. So first we were on a color guide panel. You may or may not have that open. You can choose that from the window menu if you don't have the color guide panel open. There it is, color guide. And the other one is this little icon at the bottom of your swatches panel, the second one. It opens the color themes panel. This is like Adobe Color. So, as a matter of fact, I'd already done a search. Let's go ahead and get out of that. So this is the way it would normally open. It would normally open with the color themes panel, allowing you to mix your own colors. And when you do that, it will kind of keep the colors in a complementary fashion. So that's one way to do it. You can actually make your own. Of course, it will show your themes if you're signed in with Creative Cloud. It'll show the themes from your various libraries that you've already got. You can use those. Or you can explore. And what I love about explore is that you can find colors that others have created for maybe the topic that you're going to work on. So I'm working on an infographic. I'd love to see what kind of infographics are out there, or infographic colors out there that people have already created. So I'm going to go ahead and type in infographic. Let me get the cursor out of the way. There we go. Infographic, hit return. And that'll bring up search results from the internet just on colors that people have put out there. So the bunch of the same thing, flat infographics, diabetes infographic, infographic magenta. Just again, these are names that people name their themes. When you create a theme on Adobe Color, you can choose to make it public, and that's what these folks have done. So if you find one of these that you like, by all means, you can use one of these, and away you go as well. So this is kind of like, oh, well, you know, if people have been successful making infographics, I might want to start with the color themes that other people have been using to be successful with. I don't really see one that jumps out at me of, you know, hey, this would be an awesome one to use. Some of these are okay. This one's kind of, I like this one. I like the colors, but they're kind of dark. I like the colors there too, but nothing really jumps out at me here as for what I want to use for this example. But if you scroll through and find one you like, you're more than welcome to use that theme. So for example, let's say I did want to use this one. I can either just go ahead and just start using the colors right there, or I can say, go ahead and add this to my favorites or add it to my swatches. If I say add it to my swatches, you can see what it did down at the bottom. It just added that theme to my swatches, so they're always there now in this document and ready for me to use. All right, so that's 2 ways to get colors for your infographics. And the color guide has taken those colors and applied them here, as well as different tints of those colors for me to use. So that works out great too. All right, so now let's go ahead and just say we're going to pick one of those colors. And now what I want to do is I want to duplicate that 4 more times. So I might need to move it up a little. We'll see. But we'll duplicate it first, see what happens. All right, so I'm going to switch over to the selection tool. To duplicate it, we're used to copy paste. You can use copy paste in every application. But in Adobe applications, you can actually duplicate things a little bit more precisely, or at least without using up the clipboard memory. Holding down the Option or Alt key, start dragging, and hold down your Shift key after you start dragging so that it doesn't move left or right. So that gave me a perfect copy down. Now I can go switch the color, but before I switch the color, I need 3 more. So here's a keyboard shortcut, Command D, which means duplicate. Do what I just did again. Command D, Command D. So that gave me my 5 exact copies spaced exactly down the way I need. So now, of course, I would just go ahead and switch the colors for each one. And again, just using different tints of these colors. There we go. Maybe that one. And then maybe that one. All right. And I may not like the colors, may come back and switch them later, but you get the idea. So that gave us our 5 idea bars, we'll call them for now. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, and by the way, just in case, since you're, if you're new to Illustrator or you've been working on something that you don't want to have to do over and over again, save. So you're going to go ahead and save the document, and I'm just going to go ahead and save it to the desktop just in case. And we'll say okay, so that way I can keep working without, if something happens, I'll be able to open it back up and keep going. All right, so now it's been saved, and when I say something happens, something bad happens. All right, so now the next thing I want to do is I want to create another graphic on top of this that will simulate the paper kind of folded in on itself. You'll get what I mean in a minute after I do it. So for that, I'm going to switch over to the pen tool. I know the pen tool scares people, but the pen tool in this case is going to be very easy to use because we're just going to make straight lines. We're not going to make curves with it. So the pen tool will be great for this. I'm just going to go ahead and switch over and say that I want, click here, make a pinpoint. I'm not holding down anything. I'm just moving my mouse down. And I want one here at the bottom, click. I want one on the right-hand side, click. I want one at the top, go back up to the top, and click. And I want to close it off. All right, so we kind of made this wedge shape. Now for that wedge shape, I need it to be white again. So I'm just going to make it the same color. I don't know why I'm looking for that word. Same color as the paper. All right, so now it's kind of covering. It makes it look like our wedge has been chopped off, but it's really just a white shape covering our wedge. Now, like I said, I wanted to make it look like a piece of paper folded over. So for that to happen, I'm going to go up to my Effect panel, menu, not panel. In my Effects menu, I'm going to come down to Stylize and Drop Shadow. Yes, Illustrator, even though it's not Photoshop, has its own drop shadow feature. Now, the only thing I don't like about this one compared to Photoshop's is a little easier to use, but we are going to turn on the preview, and you're going to say, well, hang on, preview's on, I don't see anything, because by default, the shadows, you can barely see it, it's on the right-hand side off the page, because my object goes all the way to the edge. So, I know my x-axis is across, my y-axis is down, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that I want the offset for y to be none. I don't want it to move up and down at all. But I want my, oh, hang on, sorry, I clicked there a little too many times. There we go. And I want my, I might have to just type these in. I want my x-axis to be a little bit, oh, too much. Maybe 0.2, and this one we're going to just change it to 0. All right. Now that shadow's a little too heavy, a little too dark. So we'll just change the opacity of it and bring the opacity down to maybe, I don't know, 50%. And the reason it's going so slow is because I have it on preview. So it's having to render that every time I make a change. All right, so let's drop it down to maybe, I don't know, maybe even 40%. That's better. Okay, so now that gives us kind of our depth effect with a little bit of shadow, makes the paper look like it's a little bit raised onto itself. And I might even reduce that offset to 1.5. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, okay. I don't need the shadow to stick out quite so far. All right, so now we click OK, and that's a vector effect. So that will render nicely, either on screen or on paper. All right, so now that we've got that in place, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our the same bars that we did on the left side. We need them on the right side. We need them up a little bit, and we need them to turn into arrows. So bear with me. We're going to do one, and it's easier to do one and duplicate it, even if we have to do the colors over again. All right, so let's do one. We're going to hold down the Option or Alt key to duplicate it, just like we did before. So Option or Alt key, duplicate it, and we're going to raise it about halfway up. All right, so now it's not on top of the wedge because it was created before the wedge. So we're going to move it up to the top. Go up to your Object menu, come down to Arrange, and bring to front. And that will bring it to the top. So now we got it on the top the way we want it, and we got it off to the side the way we want it. I'm going to reduce the size of it. I'm going to pull it in a little bit more this way and pull it in a lot more this way. There we go. And we just need that little part at the top. Now I need to convert, maybe a little bit shorter. I need to convert that into an arrow pointing outward or to the right. So there's a few ways to do that. I can use the pen tool, and with the pen tool, I can actually, and I even get a smart guide. Let me zoom in on this so you can see it a little bit better. I can go ahead and just move my pen right on that path until I get my smart guide, letting me know I've got it right in the center, and just click one time. All that did was add a point to that path on the right side. So now I can use that point and manipulate it. I can pull it out and make that my arrow. Simple as that. Maybe not stick it out so much. And what if I wanted it to be a little rounded? Well, right now it's very pointy. It's literally a point. So if I wanted to make it a little more rounded, what I could do is simply go in and under the pen tool, there is a anchor point tool. So if you fly out the pen tool, you'll get this anchor point tool. And what that will allow you to do is turn any point into the opposite of what it is. So it will turn a curve point into a corner point, just like this one. Or you can use it to turn a corner point into a curve point. So we're going to do just drag it out to make it a little more curvy so that our point is not so pointy. I can keep pulling it to make it more rounded, but that's pretty much what I want. Now the last thing I need to do is I don't need this to be straight up and down. I want to cut it off. I can cut it off a few ways. There are even tools that will let me slice that off. But it's easier just to reshape it because it is just simple 2 points. So I'm going to switch back to the direct selection tool. I'm going to grab this first point and pull it right to the edge. I hadn't moved it all the way to the edge. And we're going to move the top point and keep it straight and move it to the edge. So now it looks like, you can start to get the idea, it looks like if the paper were folded on itself and up a little bit, this would just be folded around. And that's the effect we want. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate that, and they're going to be offset because the angle of the fold is offset, and that's okay. We're going to take that one, hold down our Option or Alt key, and drag it. We don't want to drag it straight down because we want to keep it lined up. Same thing. Now you can hit Command D, and that will do it for you, but it may not make it perfectly lined up. Let me see how that looks. I may want to zoom in because these might not be touching the edge. So I'm going to just use the arrow key to move it over just a hair, like a pixel. Just move it over, pixel or a point, just to make sure it's right on the edge and there's no white space. Okay, we got it. All right, so next, obviously these need to match the colors of their corresponding bars. So we got the second one selected already. We can just use our eyedropper. Just hit the letter I on the keyboard and sample that color. That will give you the exact same color. You don't have to remember which one you clicked on in the color guide. You can just click and get to the exact color. Now, I want to use the eyedropper again for the third one, but I don't have the third one selected. So here's a keyboard shortcut. Instead of me having to go back to the selection tool, then come back to the eyedropper tool every single time, I want to temporarily get to the selection tool, and I can do that by holding down on the Mac, my Command key, PC Control key. So that will let me switch bars and then simply select the color. Because I'm already in the eyedropper, temporarily gives me the selection tool, Command key, selection tool, let go, yellow. All right, so now I got them the right colors, and that was the bulk of the work. That was the hardest part that we just did. All right, the rest is pretty straightforward. Obviously, these would be numbered at some point, either on the left or right, totally up to you and your design. They would probably point to something. You probably have some objects out here that they're pointing to. And of course, they would have some text on the inside that people would actually read as your steps or ideas to do for the infographic. Okay, so let's get the steps in place first, the numbers. So I'm going to grab my type tool. And I'm just going to click right on top here. Oh, hang on. I don't want to make that. Sorry about that. I'm going to click right there. There we go. I'm just going to type 01 because that's going to be our first step. Now I need my 01 to be bigger. I could sit here and try and guess point sizes. I can even do point sizes from the keyboard, Command Shift greater than, Command Shift less than, PC, Control Shift greater than, PC, Control Shift less than. Or I can just hold down my Command key on the Mac, PC Control key, and just make it bigger. Just hold down the Shift to make it proportionally bigger, and just drag it over. Now the only other thing is, of course, you pick a font and a color. I'm going to just make these white for simplicity's sake. So let's go back and grab white. And of course, we got white on top of white, which doesn't work. Let's just put them there. And then the only other thing is, depending on the font you're using, I don't even know which font this is, Myriad Pro, that's cool, that'll work. The font, the 0 and the 1 are a little too far apart for each other for my taste. So I'm going to put my cursor right between them and kern the two together. So I'm going to hold down my Option key on the Mac, Alt key on PC, and hit my left arrow key to bring that one, make it look a little bit more professional. Bring that one right there. All right, so now that we got that in place, you know the drill. We just duplicate it from here on out. Well, first I want to make sure that I do have it where I want it to be. Good. And now we hold down our Option or Alt key, drag, and they're going to offset a little bit. That's fine. And then we can just hit Command D or PC Control D to do the rest. You might need to move them because, again, you're doing it at an angle. So maybe space them over just a little bit better. And of course, you would then change the numbers to what they need to be. So this would be number 2. And this one would be number 3. And now that's a little too tight. So let me Option or Alt right arrow key to kern that a little bit further away. There we go. And number 4. Oh yeah, that's really too tight. Option or Alt. There we go. And lastly, number 5, and that's going to be too tight as well. So it worked fine on the 1, but the rest of the numbers need to be kerned a little bit better. Okay, so we got our numbers in place. And we'll save real quick. Now, what if we're going to go in and get some graphics for the arrows to be pointing at, and some text for the steps? Of course, we're not going to do all the steps and type all that out. This will be your infographic to make whatever you want. But as far as the steps are concerned, one of the cool things in Illustrator now is that when you drag out your type tool or click your type tool, look at what it does. I'm going to make it a little smaller. Let's do this. Drag it out, and it automatically fills it with lorem ipsum. I'm going to go ahead and make this one smaller. The steps won't be that big. There we go. And now that I made it smaller, what I really want to, and let's go ahead and make it white as well. Now that I made it smaller and changed it to white, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and delete it because now it should remember what I just did. So every text frame I create from now on should be the right size and color. So now, right size at least, but not the right color. All right, so fine. 1 out of 2, not bad. But at least you got the right point size. So now I can just, of course, duplicate that. I can either keep them lined up or make them a little offset as well. And Command D, Command D, Command, oop, one too many. Command D, Command D, Command D. All right, and of course you'll move those and get those lined up however you want them to be. All right, last but not least, we need, and I probably need a darker color. That yellow's not working for me anymore. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's get some graphics. Let's get some graphics for this to point at. So first thing would be, number 1 might be the idea. You might describe in the text what the idea is, and that's going to be number 1. So number 1, idea, light bulb. All right, everyone now has a bright idea. Light bulb is a good symbol for that. Where do I get a light bulb from? I don't know how to draw a light bulb, or I don't feel like drawing a light bulb, even if I knew how to draw one. So what you can do is take advantage of, I'm not going to say Adobe Stock, although you could take advantage of Adobe Stock. I'm going to show you another Adobe Creative Cloud feature that you can use for free. And that's the Adobe Marketplace. Now, Adobe Stock's awesome. You'll find amazing light bulbs on Adobe Stock. But if you just need some vector graphics, quick for infographics like this, there's a quick, easy way to do it. So just bring up your Creative Cloud menu, go to your Assets tab, and click on Market if it doesn't already go to Market. And then right here, you can just go to Search and type in light bulb. And there you go. Now you got some light bulbs. So now you're going to get a selection of light bulbs. These are community created for free for you to use. You might not find exactly what you're looking for because these are donated. These are free. These are people created these assets and said, hey, I'm going to submit these to the Adobe market. Let anyone else use them and use them. So you can't complain about that because that is what it is. It's literally free, donated. If you need more, that's where Adobe Stock would come in. All right, so I like this one. This will make a great idea light bulb. So next thing I want to do is I want to get it from here into Illustrator. So the easiest way to do that is to sync it to one of my libraries. So I think I'm in my Adobe Live library. So I'll just sync it. And now if I go to the libraries panel, here it comes. And there it is. So now I can just literally drag it from the libraries panel and pull it right in. Someone's at the door, my dog says. All right, so we'll just go ahead and pull that in over. And of course, now what color do I want that to be? Well, probably it should be the same color as the idea. So I grab my eyedropper and just sample it, and now I've got a nice vector light bulb that matches the idea color. All right, the next thing, we probably need some money to finance our idea. So we can grab our type tool. This one's easy enough to make. I don't need to go get a graphic for it. I can just go ahead and type the $sign. We'll go ahead and command, oh, sorry. There we go. And hang on. I'm getting keyboard happy here. Let's get out of that. All right, here we go. Oh, what did I just do? Oh, I drilled down into it. Sorry about that. I don't know why my text isn't working the way I want. Let me try that again. All right, grab our type tool. Oh, I know why. Because it's created it inside of that as a frame. All right, so here's a catch-22. Because this shape is behind it, shapes can also be used as frames. And sometimes when you're clicking in something, it's trying to say, oh, you want to type inside this box. And no, I don't. So what I want to do, and I should have done this from the beginning, you want to go to your layers panel and drill down to that object that is selected. It'll show you which one is selected because it'll be the one with the blue square next to it. And all I want to do is just simply lock it. That way, I'm not messing with that, that object again. I can always go and unlock it whenever I do want to mess with it. All right, so now if I grab my type tool and I type my $sign and I hit Command A. I don't know why my Command A isn't working, but anyway, we'll just make that bigger. There we go. And of course, we can go ahead and sample the color we want. You can't type the letter I because then you'll change the eyedropper or you'll change the $sign to an I. And so we have to go find the tool manually that way. And then we'll of course go ahead and pull it in place. All right, next up, we got our idea, we got our money. We might want to check off some things that we need. So I might want to go back to the market and find a check mark. There we go. And hey, Chris, how are you? There's a nice check mark right there. So there's some more check marks. Ooh, which one do I like better? I kind of like that one better. All right, so we'll go ahead and sync the check mark to the Adobe Live library. And now that that's done, I go to my libraries panel, and here comes the check mark. I can use this as many times as I want from here on out without me having to draw a check mark. Just that much easier to go get a free one. That's vector. All right, so now we got that in place. Make that a little smaller. There we go. Grab our eyedropper and sample that blue. All right, so now we got that in place. What comes after the eyedropper? You know what? After the check mark, we want to maybe track the results. So how will we track results? That would be a bar chart. And nice bar graphs there. I kind of like this one. Simple and to the point. Now, could I have drawn that? Sure, it's just rectangles. But is it faster to probably just go ahead and download it or sync it? Probably. All right, so we got that in place. And now we'll go back out. Here, oh, I grabbed it twice. Go ahead and pull one in. Easy enough to draw, but even faster to get from the market. I'll make that smaller. Go. And then we'll make that our last color, eyedropper. And then last but not least, we want to email out everyone, thank you for participating in our whatever it was. All right, so we're going to do an envelope. Search, find a nice envelope. Oh, I kind of like that one. That works. Sync it to my Adobe Live library and wait for it to come in. And here we go. And pull it in. Hold down the Shift key, make it the right size, make it smaller. And of course, you would make it whatever color that is, even though I'm not going to stick with that yellow, but we would make it the yellow, and away we go. Yeah, see, that's why we wouldn't make it that yellow. Hold on. Oh, this one might be a stroke thingy. Let's do it that way instead. No? That one might require more direct, oh, okay. That one might require more direct selecting. Let's go ahead and make the stroke of that black. There we go. Yeah, because if it's yellow and everything's yellow, it's hard to see it. So we have to give it some other color to make it stand out. All right, but there you go. So now at this point, the only other thing you might do, of course, is get your big title in for whatever your idea is. My idea. And, whatever credits or website or whatever you want at the bottom, and your infographic is pretty much ready to go. So at this point, it's save, export, put it wherever you want it to go, and that is it for how to create an infographic in Adobe Illustrator CC. Yeah, it's a compound path, you're right. So I could expand that out and then get to the individual parts, but I might not even need to do that. Yeah, I can get to the individual parts without expanding it. So if I wanted to change the color of the inside of it, I could do that. So I could make it multicolor. I could make it really look bad. All right, don't do this. But yeah, so direct select, then I can get into the individual pieces and make it whatever color I want instead of having to put the black line on. But you get the idea. All right, so that's it. Thanks everyone for coming in. Now, what if you want to learn more? You got a great opportunity this week. On June 8th and 9th this week, Rufus and Michael, Adobe employees, are going to be streaming live from 99U in New York. And to tell you more about it, why don't I just show you? All right, so join us live, not me, but join the team live, the 8th and the 9th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time, I think it's going to be. Not sure. Whatever time zone it said on the video. But all day, 8th and 9th, multiple streamers doing all kinds of creative graphic design stuff. Great. You'll love it. You'll learn. It'll be awesome. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.